What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Today, we got a brother on from Pittsburgh, home of Paulie Spatafora, one of the greatest white dudes that ever did it, in my own personal opinion, fight game. But anyway, this brother did a bunch of time, went in young, been some dangerous places, might have been on some gang time, might have turned his life around, but he can tell you better than I can. Munch, tell the people who you are, where you're from, brother.
How y'all doing, man? My name's Cousin Munch. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I got incarcerated when I was 21, sentenced to the feds to 168 months. I served 12 years on that, turned my life around while I was in there. And now my whole mission is to help guys inside realize that they can make it out the same way that I do, by still being my authentic self in the process.
No doubt, man. I mean, I had brought the warden on, a couple of weeks ago, and Warden Whitmore. And, he was education supervisor while you were at the prison and all of that. He's like, yo, man, reach out to my dude. I want you to interview him. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to reach out to him. I'll call you. And here we are. So let's talk a little bit about your life, though, in Pittsburgh and what led you to, bank robberies and what was it, 168 months in federal prison?
Yes. Well, I didn't just wake up one day and say, let's rob a bank. But so my mom had me young, me and my brothers. I'm the oldest of four boys. And so quite naturally, it was kind of hard for us. We bounced around from house to house. She dropped us off on our relatives who she thought would, be better suited to raise us. But having two boys is kind of hard. So I grew up on the South Side, and the South Side, it's a pretty rough environment. Me and my brother ended up migrating outside and, found our ways to provide for ourselves in areas where our mom couldn't. So we started getting into the street life, and, that's when I started getting in trouble. Then when I turned 15 years old, I met my biological father. He was paralyzed. He was in a wheelchair. And at first it was a lot of hostility there because of my upbringing and him not being present. But when I really, when I found out he was in a wheelchair, it did something to me, and it made me give him a chance. And it was the best year of my life. We ended up building a great bond. I moved in with him. I became an honor roll student, and he showed me things that I never seen that I needed, that only he could provide, because he was being my father. So quite naturally, I was listening, being open with him. The day I turned 16, he was murdered on my birthday in front of me. So, that was when life really started changing, because I felt like as soon as things started going well, you take my pops away from me. And I can't really speak too much about that because of the nature of the case and the people involved, but it definitely changed my perspective.
Well, so let me stop you, because I wasn't expecting that, bro. I didn't know that before we got on here. What was your father in the wheelchair for? Was he shot before too?
Yeah, he was shot 9 times, left him paralyzed, and it happened to be by one of his friends. So that was a big thing. And he was paralyzed. Then he went to jail for 3 to 6. So I didn't get to meet him in that time. But again, they were young when they had me. So I didn't see him until he came home.
His friend shot him on accident, or he meant to shoot him?
He meant to do it. They went through whatever they went through. So, things turned out how it happened.
Now, let me ask you this, right? And I'm not going to ask you who or nothing like that, because I know you don't want to talk about those details from what you just said. Yeah. But what did they kill your father over? Drug dealing, robbed him? I mean, what is it?
Just typical street stuff. The streets is the streets put you in positions to make decisions you might not want to make. And, like I said, I really can't speak into the particulars of it, but I will say this. You have to make sure that if you're playing a game where there are no rules, you better be expecting people not to be having rules when it comes to you. So I'm gonna just say that.
You see your father get killed when you're 16. You're there.
Yeah, I was there. We were playing Madden. We were smoking a blunt, counting down my birthday. And after he counted down, I walked over and went to the bathroom. While I was using the bathroom, that's when the shots start going off. My dog got shot also. My dog came running across the room. So I'm 15 years old, but I just turned 16. So I was scared. I'm in the back. I didn't even want to come outside. So when I heard the car pull off, finally came out the bathroom. I've seen all the gun smoke and stuff. So the first thing is I want to check on, make sure my father was all right. So when I went into the room, he was sitting up on the bed, holding his head with his gun in his hand, but his brains, the back of his head was all on the headboard, and my dog was bleeding from out the back too. So I picked up the phone and I called 911 to get the paramedics. But I don't know if people see, I'm 37 years old. So people now might not realize back in the day, you couldn't dial 911 on a cricket. You had to dial *9, but I didn't know that. So I'm trying to dial 911 on a cricket, and it wasn't going through. So I ran to the neighbor's house, knocked on the door. The neighbor opened the door and called the paramedics for me. And then they came. My dad died once he got to the hospital.
He died with a gun in his hand.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And eventually you end up involved in this robbing banks, and you go to federal prison. You're sentenced to how much time? You said 168 months?
Yeah. So before that, though, so when my dad died, 8 months later, I got arrested for serving undercover, and I went to juvenile placement. I come home from juvenile placement, and 9 months after that, I go down for attempted homicide. I got dropped down to aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. So from that period of 16 to 21, I was only out for like 18 months. And then when I came home at 21, I got indicted later that year and caught the 168. So I spent over half of my life, more than half of my life, being incarcerated.
Like going to federal prison, as a young man? What's going through your mind? That's a lot of time, right?
Yeah, yeah. Number one, how the hell am I gonna make it to the end of this? You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality. Like, man, that was the thought. Like, how the fuck I'm gonna get 14 years done? Two, I'm coming out the same way I went in, manhood intact, everything. This is like, I'm being real with you, out as a 21-year-old. I'm coming home, everything intact. And I was like, I'm just not gonna be no bitch type shit. Like, it is what it is. The same mentality I have on the streets, I'm bringing in here. I'm not doing no ducking, because the county jail you hear older guys, they try to prep you for the system. The guys that's been in there telling you certain things, and certain things where guys get involved in situations. So you hear all the stories, but you never know until you experience. So I'm really just like preparing my mind, like, okay, you're going into the battlefield, and one thing you got to do is make it home. So that was my mentality as a 21-year-old.
Crazy life, right?
Yeah.
You charged with a 922G by any chance?
Yeah. So when I first went to the feds, that's what I got indicted for, 922G. That was a convicted felon not to possess a firearm. While serving my sentence, I got indicted for my bank robbery, because a co-defendant told on me when I only had 8 months left. I was about to get released. I only had 46 months for the 922G. So 8 months to the door. You know how once you're under a year, you go to team every month. So I was going to team every month to just let you know what part of my sentence I was in when they came and re-indicted me.
What did you end up getting on that 922G?
I got 46 months for 922G.
So I just did a video. I don't know. And we'll talk a little bit about this. I think you were involved with the Crips at one time in your life, but Crip Matt just gets arrested, right? And I did a little video kind of teaching people a little bit, kind of a teaching video, right? And somebody's like, man, you're capping. He's only going to get 2 years. He's got like 5 prior felonies. They just changed the 0 to 10 on a 922G, which some people
they don't know that.
The amendments changed it to 15 years now. What do you think he's going to get? Just curious.
Based off his jacket, if I had to compare his, if he, goes about it correctly, and off my experience, I came off with 46 months and never had a jacket. So when you look at the categories, because you get certain points for your age, certain points for the serious of your crime, how many, all the points for his jacket. being real with the new statute, and plus them giving us all the extra good time, giving the guys their extra good time back. I'm gonna say between 5 and 7 years, being realistic. I'll say being 4 to 7 years, realistically.
I looked at his criminal history. I think he's a
And that's without me knowing his jacket.
no doubt. But I mean, you're a guy that's been sentenced to 922G. You had no priors, and you ended up with
Right.
8 months. But anyway, what's your first prison, Munch?
My first prison in the federal system,
Yeah,
yeah, Beckley, it was Beckley, West Virginia. Yep.
that didn't work out. That's an FCI, and that don't work out. You end up in a penitentiary, right?
Yeah, that didn't work out. I ended up in the penitentiary.
Explain to us why it doesn't work out for you at Beckley.
Okay, there's a lot of young guys there with a lot of time, just plain and simple. It's just you have too much time and you're not experienced enough in life to understand how to deal with that. And the guys who could say something to you, you don't really have respect for, because I'm gonna be real with you. Um, Mediums, there's a lot of rats there. Let's just be real. So the younger guys don't tend to respect the older guys in there. So like, what I noticed in the penitentiary, the older guys run the jail. The guys who's been down the longest, they run the jail. In the mediums, the younger guys run the jail. It is with how they want it to be. So that opens the door to a lot of chaos and bullshit.
What car are you in?
Would you say?
What car were you
Okay, so I was like a hybrid, and this is gonna be crazy, right? Because, and guys can stamp this. I was in the Crip car, but all the homies knew if I was outside or I was around and something was happening with the Pittsburgh car, not PA, even though I had a lot of respect for guys from PA, and bad, like I know the politics, but guys from Pittsburgh, where I have to go back to, the guys now I was going to get involved. So my car was the Crip car, but I'm from Pittsburgh.
Listen, you Pittsburgh dudes stick together anyway, and all you cats could fight a little bit. Oh, so let's talk a little bit about, you end up going to Big Sandy. You end up leaving this place and go to Big Sandy, right?
Yeah.
Any violence at the FCI from you before you go?
Yeah. So that's how I got sent out of there. The cars crashed. We had a homie. I had been at Beckley for a while now, and the older guys who were there, the car, we all took a vote, and guys had elected me to be the shot caller, not because I was super dangerous, but they thought I could think the best. So for my age, I was only 25. So for my age, guys felt like I could think the best, and they elected me to have the car. With that being said, I had to hit the button one time because it just needed to happen. It was easier for us to get rid of one guy than go to war about something that a guy was wrong about. So we
Listen,
had to hit the button, run a guy out.
some of these people watching don't know what hit the button means. We need you to tell.
Oh,
We're talking
hit
about
the button means you got voted off the island. It's ejecto seato. You got to go to the hole. You can no longer be on the compound.
this dude get pounded out.
Yeah, he got pounded out, and we end up getting charged because of the severity of him getting pounded out. And to be honest, I didn't expect his pounding to go like that. So let me throw that out there, because he was a homie, but he was wrong. He was wrong, and he had to go.
What did he do? I mean, what causes a person to get pounded out in federal prison? What did he do, allegedly?
We were having a homie day with another car. I won't say who the car was, but we were having a homie day. And we all agreed to come together and have the camaraderie. So everything was going well. And in the basketball, somebody got hurt, but it wasn't intentional. And guy, he just wouldn't let it go, man. He just wouldn't let it go, and kept being disrespectful. And I had pulled him to the side and asked him, on the strength of me, like, yo, chill out. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, you're testing my reign in front of everybody, and it wasn't that serious. Everybody knows that's not what happened. Long story short, he wouldn't calm down. So, he had to go. And to be clear, the guys in the car were more upset than I was, to be real. Like, I was equally upset, but how unified we were, it was like yo, we as a collective selected him to run the car, so you cannot be disrespecting him in front of outsiders like that. Like we got to show you what happens when you do stuff like that. So he had to go.
You guys got charged federally with a new case?
Yeah, so we got charged federally. The feds decided not to pick it up, but they did pick up one of the homies. He's on his way home right now. I'll give him a shout out. J Lo, the homie J Lo out of Durham, North Carolina. He took the case. He took the case. He manned up. Was like, we're not all. It was me, and I'll never forgive you for that.
Did dude leave the yard on a stretcher?
No, they left him in the hole till he healed up, till his head healed up. Oh yeah, off the yard, not the compound. Yes, he left the yard on the stretcher. Yes.
So let me ask you
Once
this:
he got to the hole, they kept him in the hole till he healed up.
he's leaving on a stretcher. He's beat up inside of you. Like, damn, man, why'd he make us do that, man?
Yeah, I was hurt because I that was my homie. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I had saved him so many times where there was things, you know how politics go, where you gotta politic a homie out of a situation. Like, nah, yeah, but what if this? Now you can't even say that because I done had to politic him out of situations. So it was only so much I could save you at that point.
And then you end up going to Big Sandy, right?
Yeah, they kicked me out. They shipped me off the compound. They said I had too much power. I still got all those shots too, but they end up sending me off.
What is it like walking into Big Sandy, coming from an FCI to this environment now?
Yeah, it's very different. First of all, when you see the gun tower and everything, and you pull in, you have to stay on the bus until the AW or whoever's in charge at that time, the active warden, can come on the bus and sign you guys off the bus. So when he comes on the bus, man, he says, "Who cannot be here?" It's what he said. That's the first thing he says. Who cannot be here? Nobody raises their hand. Man, I lie to you not. As soon as he says that, the deuces go off. Deuces is the alarm to let you know that something is going on in the yard and they need all staff on hand. So it was the white car, the car there, they were called armed. The white guys they were called armed. They were cleaning up. They were cleaning up their house. I ain't even stepped on the compound yet. They're cleaning up their house. So we're stuck on the bus for like 45 minutes. Eventually he comes, he says, again, I'm asking you, who cannot, because we hear the helicopter, the medevac and everything. So he gets out of it. He's, who cannot be here? Out of the 40 of us, man, like 13 guys raised their hand. Like, I can't be here, man. So they get off. You get in, they take you through intake, speed it up, ask you, in case of emergency, where would you like your body to go and all that. I know it's a tactic, but it's effective. And then you hit the compound. You walk around, you see that it's broken down into 3 jails, basically, by the time I got there. I know it used to be open when you was there, but when I got there, it turned into 3 jails. So we had the corridors. The corridors had become so violent that we had to walk under the gun. So you're walking everywhere, and every like 5 feet, man, it's a metal detector, man. So it's like you're watching all this stuff. Like, man, this is crazy. Then you get on to your unit. When you get on your unit, you go to the CO. You see they got the vests on. There's 2 of them coming from FCI. There's only 1 CO, and he definitely doesn't have a vest on. So seeing that, you watch that, and then when you give him your card, yeah, to see where your room is, he tells you go find your car. You like, what? I'm like, where's my cell? He said, go find your car. He's like, I had never witnessed anything like that, So you go out there, you find your car. Where the Crips at? Boom. So all the Crips come up, they pull up on me. Where you coming from? Bah, 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 bah. You got a shot. I give them my shot. Now, the purpose of me giving them my shot is because when you go to a new compound, it's like you have to show your paperwork and you have to show the reason why you made it to this compound. Nobody wants to harbor anybody that's not righteous. So I gave them my shot so they know who I was. I had 30 days to get my property, which my paperwork was in, so I couldn't have a knife until I had my license to be on the compound. So they kept guys with me until then. So that was my initial experience of coming to there. It was definitely way different from being in the FCI.
Anybody ever get murdered over there while you were there?
Yeah, yeah, a guy from DC. He kept bullying a younger guy from DC, and he just kept doing it. The young guy, you clearly seen he didn't want no problems. Long story short, he went in there, he kept doing what he was doing. Young guy stuck his knife out on some backup and hit him in the neck. The old guy walked right on the steps, man, and died right there. The CO didn't, she panicked. She didn't even know what to do. They just sat there while he died. We was out the next morning.
Out the next morning, there's a murder and everybody's allowed out the next morning.
We were out. They passed out the tell you what happened. Yeah, this guy just passed, da 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 da. Because it was car on car. We was out the next morning.
Out the next morning, everybody's got their knife on them and just do what you want, kind of.
Yeah, back to regular routine.
Let me ask you this. There was a kid that I was with in Raybrook. He was a Crip, and he ended up going over there, and there was an issue between the Crips and the DC dude, and he ends up going down there, and he got killed. Light-skinned kid out of Missouri. You weren't there when that happened, were you?
No, but I came right after that. That was a big deal when it was actually the Crips. Crips and Bloods were the same car in Big Sandy. So it was the Crips and the Bloods versus DC. The incident that you're speaking about. That was a major incident on C3. Yeah.
P3. He was a dude that he wasn't really involved. It was his homie down there fighting or whatever, and he ends up getting killed.
Yeah, and what's crazy was the DC guy and the Crip guy, they were all right. Well, the Blood guy, they were all right. They started that horse plan, went too far, and then it was just a major crash.
But you've seen some traumatic things in your life, not to, oh, I mean, it is what it is, but, to see
Yeah.
your father get murdered and to see him with a gun in his hand and his head, and then to go to prison and see that violence. Do you think violence affected you, or is it just part of your life?
Yeah, it affected me. It affected me in my everyday life. My family called me a robot. So I have to learn to work on my emotions. Like I learned how to get over things pretty fast. Like I'm not a person who dwells on things and woe is me. I'm like, man, that happened. Deal with it. All right, let's keep going and pushing. So it doesn't make me in the most affectionate person. And so that's things I have to work out, but I am conscious of it.
What's the worst thing you ever experienced in prison? Whether it's violence, whether it's being alone in your cell on Christmas, what's the worst thing you ever experienced?
Oh man, being in the hole when my grandma died. That was just nothing tops that. Being in the hole when that chaplain came to my cell and told me my grandma passed. Yeah, that was by far because that's the one woman I could do no wrong to, no matter what. My grandma's always been in my life. I talked to her every Sunday, my whole sentence. It didn't matter what part of the country I was in. I knew that Judy Brown was going to pull up. So when right before she passed, she had told me that she's like, man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm happy you're in prison. I'm like, what you mean, man? I was mad as hell. But she's like, no, because now I don't have to get that call that you and your brother got murdered. I don't want that call. So I'm just happy that you're in prison because it makes me better. It helps me sleep at night. So, that kind of fucked me up. Like, damn, what type of lifestyle am I living where I'm stressing my grandma out where she can't even get no sleep? So when she passed, that was by far the worst thing I ever experienced while I was in prison.
After she passed and you experienced it, you ever say to yourself, you ever look at that raggedy ass mirror they put above the toilet and say to yourself, like, man, I don't want to live like this no more, man. I want to be a good man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what I said. It was like I don't really have nothing to be proud about right now. I'm like, so what's the reason I keep coming to jail? And the reality I came up with was, for one, I'm trying to be my father. That was for one. I was chasing to be a ghost. I felt like this is who I had to be. This is what everybody expected me to be. This was the route that I wanted to go. And two, I feel like I kept going to jail because it was about money. So I'm going to have to get money. So why don't you start learning about money? And why don't you take the time to learn about who Munch is instead of being DDO's son? So those was like the two biggest things that I took from having all that time.
And I know eventually you end up running into Whitmore. Where do you run into Whitmore at?
So I meet Whitmore and McKing. Crazy thing is I wasn't never supposed to be in Big Sandy. My point, they jacked my points up. So after a couple teams, they kicked me out of Big Sandy. I go to McCain. When I get to McCain, my cousin, N.O., he had 15 years in the feds also. He's working in the education department and he's in the life coaching program. He works for Whitmore. So I'm going down there and I would go hang with him. And quite naturally, I ended up meeting Whitmore through there. Whitmore was a good dude. He was a CO, but he wasn't a cop. So guys knew that no matter what, you could take him for his word. So that was a big thing with him, you know. So when I see my cousin involved, and make a long story short, I seen what he was going through, him and other guys with this life coaching thing. I got involved in this. It started affecting me and changing me, and I wanted to start helping the guys also. So we like now we're all out. We started a group called Rika. It's a reentry coaching academy, and basically we teach men how to design their lives so they can live how they want to live, and we show them that the results in real life time. So we start off with teaching them SMART goals, stuff like that, which is a 21-day habit tracker goal. So they'll plan a goal and then they'll see how far and what they could accomplish over just the 21 days, just so they can see that what we're teaching them is real. Once they see that, they buy in and they respect it more because they know that we came from those walks of life. So that's been my whole mission. I just came back with me and DJ and my guy O'Malley, and so the list goes on. There's a lot of guys, but the whole Rika family, we just came back from Core Civics in Arizona. It's like a CCA, and they gave us 13 lifers, man. They all bought in. They loved it. Like they loved it. So what we got is real, and it changed me. So I know it's real. You know, it's easier to sell something when you believe in it.
Would you ever thought in your life that you'd be traveling to a jail when you got out with the guy that was the warden, a dude that was
No,
warden at big prisons, education?
take it a step further. Sleeping in the same house. We were in an Airbnb. You know, so that was different, but it was different for him too. That's what I had to realize. Like this has to be a new experience for him also. Like this is crazy.
He's a good dude. I'm glad you're doing that stuff, man. Like that's what's up.
Yeah, yeah. Appreciate that. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Well, I definitely appreciate you too. And you know something, to have a warden come on your channel or a warden to be like, hey man, I'm not the warden no more. I'm out here and this is what I'm doing and I'm still helping dudes. You're like, damn man, some of these
Yeah,
people do care. Not all of them. There's some nasty people in there, but there are some
yeah.
people that actually care about people, man. And he's
Right.
one of them.
Yeah, and it's a testimony that if you're in any environment you're in, man, if you look for the positivity, you can find it. You know, if you look for the negativity, you're gonna find that also. So it's really what you focus on. You know.
So let me ask you this. You knew you were getting out of prison, right? Did you have any
Mhm.
goals? Were you worried about, damn, man, I hope I can get out here and get some money. I can't be no 9 to 5, $500 a week type of dude. Did you ever think that type of thing?
No, I had a whole plan. That was part of the life coaching experience too. First thing I did while I was incarcerated was I started working on my credit. As I said, I started learning about every reason why my life wasn't going the way that it was going. And there was a guy at McKean, shout out to Big Lacy. He used to work for TransUnion. He's given me everything I needed to know about credit. So I started getting my personal credit together. I came home in the halfway house. I got me 2 jobs. I already knew that they didn't pay to see federal backgrounds most jobs because it cost $300, and I never had a state case. I mean, I beat all my state cases, so I wasn't worried about getting a job. Came home, worked at Walmart and Amazon for the whole year straight. Stayed in the halfway house too. That's a lot of people want to swallow their pride. I stayed in the halfway house the whole year, and I worked both jobs and stacked every penny while building my credit score. By the time I got out the credit score, I had a 720 credit score. I opened up an LLC, got a Dunn's number, build my structure properly. I took out loans in my name first, just to build the credit. Took out a bunch of loans, the right loans, and I paid them back on time. Once I paid them back on time, I used my credit score to personally guarantee my newly established LLC. After I established my LLC, I opened up a sneaker boutique in Atlanta once I got off paper. I got off paper in May last year. So I came to Atlanta and I opened up a sneaker boutique, a high-end sneaker boutique. I also opened up an Airbnb, and I have hold on, what else? I got my Airbnb, my sneaker boutique, my CMOS company, and I do my liquidation on Amazon. So these are all things that I was researching and studying before I came out. I also started learning about stocks, but that's easier said than done. But my point being is you have to have a plan. You make your plan, then you'll have a direction. If you come home with no plan, you're going to end up back in jail because you have no direction.
Got an Airbnb and all that?
Yeah, I got an Airbnb in Pittsburgh. Yep.
Well, you living your best life.
Luxury livings, man. Luxury livings. Check us out.
Well,
RefreshAtlanta.com too. Any sneaker you want, any Jordan you want, 1 through 14, Yeezys and Dunks, Hellstar, Supreme, all that stuff. Yep.
big things, man.
Yeah. And I do my life coaching with the guys with the Rika Academy. That's what we do. So I try to be diverse, man, and keep going. But I've worked. Shoot, I'd be doing DoorDash too if I have to. It don't make a difference. Anything that'll bring in income.
I'm impressed, bro. For real, I'm impressed.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what's up. I'm glad that you got out and turned it around and you're living your best life. And you got kids, right?
Yep, I'm engaged to my beautiful fiance. I have a daughter. Her name is Patience Love. I'm just blessed right now. Everything is moving great.
You know what, man? I mean, that's that's what matters, right? That's what matters at the end of the day.
And I can't leave out my stepdaughters either. I'm blessed right now. I have a complete family, man. Everything is how I want it to be.
What's going to motivate you to never go back, brother?
For one,
Now you're a life coach, man. Give us something, brother.
Yeah, for one, being motivated to never go back is because you have to understand that I'm gonna be real with you, no sugarcoating. Once I found out that they was getting paid $500 every count time, it was over with after that. I'm gonna flip my own life. There's no way I'm gonna allow somebody to just keep continuously flick me every single day, 5 times a day, man. That ain't even no money. They're making way more money off of you than you can. So once that little nugget right there, forget everything else. It's either you gonna be the flip or somebody's gonna be flipping you. It's up to you, man. Forget all that extra stuff. They make $500 every count time. There's 5 counts a day. That's slavery. If you cool with that, keep doing what you're doing. If not, learn what you got to do so you can live how you want to live. It's that simple.
Intelligent dude. I bet your daughter's one of your motivators, right? To never go back.
You better say it. That's my baby right there. I got to be who I can be so I can be out here for her. Can't never go back. My family, all that. My family helped me go to that next level. It took the selfishness away from me. Like, you never know. They always say that you don't understand till you have kids. Man, it's the whole family package, period. To have that, the weight of that responsibility of other lives on you like that, it's a beautiful thing. One that I wouldn't change for nothing. I couldn't imagine myself not being in this household. I couldn't imagine it. So I'm never going to do nothing that's going to take me out.
Say every little girl's first hero in life is her father, and you're being a hero, bro. That's what's up.
Ain't no question. Thank you, man.
So, Munch, I'm going to get ready to go. We're going to close the show, man. Anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, man. Shout out to all the brothers, man, that still trying to do what they do. Be positive and stay focused. You can be you, man. You can be you and still live the life that you want. You don't have to be what they say you are. Be who you want to be, man. That's it. That's all I got to say. Check out my store, Refresh Atlanta, Rika Coaching Academy, Living Lays, Airbnb. I'm everywhere, man. Get with me. Cousin Munch, man, on IG.
Well, I definitely appreciate you sharing your story, your experience, your story of redemption. I mean, hey, a lot of dudes are walking out and think they can't make it. You're an example that they can, man. So,
question.
Again, man, thank you. Blood on the Razor Wire TV with respect. Until tomorrow, we're out.